Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have been exposed by a former Premier League legend known as Emmanuel Petit, and if at all you really dig or dive deep into what he's saying, you get a little bit worried when Sir Jim Ratcliffe is being linked to the purchase of Manchester United. When you add on him holding a season ticket for Chelsea, yet he supports Manchester United, and he rarely comes at Old Trafford to watch these games, it really boils into what we call a huge question mark onto his management skills at Nice. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, this has gone ahead to really give Qataris a little bit of edge in the public court, because the public eye looks like Qataris are really winning over Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but all that is in the hands of the Glazers on who they are willing to give the full rights to own Manchester United in the coming 2 or 3 weeks. Now, Eriksson is another one in the news. Erik ten Hag planning to get in the midfielder to compete with him. And lastly, Erik ten Hag wants more 2 games before we fly to America, meaning that the preseason is really going to be action-packed. He wants us, by the time we step in America, when all these players have really gone ahead to gain what we call full match fitness, because he's going to be having a bloated squad even before he signs in other players, because players are returning back from what we call their loans spells, and already we are really having a huge squad as Manchester United. Now, it's a Wednesday, and let's do the needful and obviously get these stories out of the way as we prepare to bring you the last story of the day. Now, Emmanuel Petit is a journalist now. He is a former French legend. He played for Arsenal and Chelsea, and he lifted Premier League trophies in there for you. He has come out and obviously washed the dirty linen of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS into the public. Now, French midfielder legend Emmanuel Petit said, "Since INEOS arrived in Nice, I don't know who makes the decisions. I don't know where they want to go. I don't know what they want to do with this club." Now, when you hear what he's really talking about, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it's really touching and very bad for a person who really wants to see a person doing a takeover of Manchester United. And I think in this scenario, you are not surprised as to why they even want to first pay 50% of the club. They don't want to take 100% of the club. And that's why I've seen very many fans of Manchester United over social media coming out and really going hard onto this English billionaire, that if at all he loves Manchester United and wants to bring Manchester United back in Manchester, why doesn't he really take off the Glazers? Yet he knows the Glazers have been the reason as to why we've been really performing badly for the rest of the years they've been here. Because when the father of the Glazers was really in charge of Manchester United, at least we were really performing very well. But for the last 10 years, ever since 2013 when Sir Alex Ferguson left, when their father really passed on, Joel Glazer and Avram have been in total control of this club, and they've done more harm than good to this club. So, if the Glazers combine with a person like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who is really thinking like that and having lots of thoughts that are really weird about the game of football, he cannot even come out and obviously get Nice back to the image it was into. Now, can you really trust him with really managing Manchester United? Can you? You cannot. You cannot trust him with managing Manchester United because he is inexperienced and he cannot really take us to the next level. That's it. So I think Emmanuel Petit is really having a valid argument onto the INEOS group. Then he concluded by saying, "That's what puzzles me. A group like INEOS, which manages 17,000 people around the world and has a turnover of 80 billion euros, it's not even capable of managing a club like Nice and having a clear and defined strategy." Now, if you're not having a clear and defined strategy for a team like Nice, a team that is not even in the top 100 clubs in the world, how come how come we, the fans of United, should be having a lot of hope in you? Because in all of this that he's doing, we have to really look at his background, at his record in managing a football club. The football club that's going to hate to manage is Nice. Has he laid out the best that we deserve? Sorry, that Nice deserves? No. And I've just read a story that he's going to hire the former Chelsea manager Graham Potter as the new manager of Nice. Does that really communicate enough to us, the fans of Manchester United, that we are into safe hands? To me, I doubt. I doubt that. And that's why I'm 100% Qataris. Why? The Qataris have been working with PSG. I understand their project has not yet gone ahead to pay off as they've really planned it. But at least you see how much they are so much trying to push to make things happen. And they've just gone ahead to find themselves in a position of making decisions that we need a sporting director. Ocampos is there. And now they are really trying to recruit players that are not stars. Last summer, I never saw PSG sign these star players. They brought in Ekitike, 19-year-old. There is Diaz, I think. They got in from, is it Napoli? Nuno Mendes. So, Michaeli. So, they are trying to build a system and a club, because they've gotten to know that even if you buy the entire stars and put them into the same team, it's hard for you to go all out and find yourself winning. That's it. So, as it stands, the manager of PSG is really doing great, and the Qataris have known from that. And this time round, I understand that Erik ten Hag is a kind of person who's going to have to build a very huge reputation at Manchester United, and I think these Qataris will have to listen to him, because he has won the hearts of all of the fans of Manchester United. And if I told you are coming in at Manchester United and you're Qataris, you're the new owner, what you have to do is simple. You have to go on and really dance to the tunes of Erik ten Hag, because he has gone ahead to do everything in its entirety with a limited budget, and obviously with bad ownership, and the recruitment team of Manchester United is really shit. So I fancy the Qataris there. I rather be like a Chelsea. You know, if United is going to turn into a Chelsea, that every 3 years we are having a manager, he comes in, wins the Champions League, wins the Premier League or an FA Cup, and we sack him, then we bring in another one. It's okay. The only thing I get from Manchester United is us winning trophies. That's it. I'm not a shareholder in Manchester United that if at all they make huge profits, I'm going to benefit. So, if the Qatar is coming in with that model, I think it will be really great, because we will be winning. But I understand if Erik ten Hag is backed and given the right people ahead of him, all above him in the hierarchy, sporting director, football director, technical director, scouts, you know, I think he'll deliver the best for this club of Manchester United. So, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been exposed, you know. The Qataris are really the best option to take on Manchester United. That's it. Let no one lie to you. However much the English media is trying to really smear lots of cream, lots of gold onto Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but we are getting reality coming in from the people in Nice and how he has failed this club of Nice. Ever since he bought it, it is not prospering and going to where it's supposed to be. Now, Rob Dawson has today spoken about the midfield situation of Manchester United. He has told us that Erik ten Hag believes he needs another midfielder to compete with Eriksen, but the budget depends on how much is spent elsewhere. Now, there are things I really dispute. This season, Erik ten Hag has gone ahead to show to us that Bruno Fernandes can play in the double pivot. Sabitzer can play there. Eriksen can play there. Fred can play there. So, the only position that we should take as a priority is the Casemiro position. And I'm going to be surprised if at all Erik ten Hag doesn't sign a CDM. That is going to blow my mind. You know why? We suffer a lot when we are not having Casemiro in the mix. That's it. And that has been evident. You know, our team struggles when Casemiro is really struggling. We understand that he's facing a little bit of much unfitness, and that is all about us having one player. If at all we had a player who can play the CDM position, then we wouldn't have found ourselves in a position of really crying in for these players. I understand Ten Hag wants a centre forward, but this team can live without a centre forward. That's it. But without a CDM, without another right-footed central defender, our season is not safe. Our season is not safe because you'll score those goals, but you won't keep clean sheets. We need a CDM. We need a CDM. And if at all I were the board of Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag, I would have first gone in for a player like Caicedo because he has shown us that he can play as a right back, CDM, central defensive midfielder, can play as a central attack midfielder. Those are the kind of players that we should look at in midfield. And I think Ten Hag has decided to really go in for a player like Rabiot. And if at all we can get Rabiot, I think even when Casemiro is away, Rabiot can get the job done and dusted in the midfield pivot, you know, because he's really physical, good on the ball. He can really get that ball from the back four and really pass it through the central axis of the midfield. So I think on that, Ten Hag is not looking for a player to compete with Eriksen. I 100% disagree with Eriksen being played in the double pivot because he lacks energy. He doesn't have that tenacity, you know. I think he should be played as a central attack midfielder. And this is where I really call Erik Ten Hag to really try to innovate, you know. Get Bruno back into the double pivot and then play Eriksen as a central attacking midfielder and see how it's going to pan out. Because the times you've seen Bruno play deep, he even spares time to really go for those long balls because he's having lots of space to operate, you know. And every time he's played into the double pivot, he's not petulant. That's it. He's not petulant. So, I think it's really something great for Man United to look through that, and especially the manager of Manchester United, known as Erik Ten Hag, on who is really going to be the next player to be played next to Casemiro, because that's really important. And I think that's why he wants to go in for Rabiot, because Rabiot is really a very good player, and I would fancy to have him at Manchester United because it's better than what we got. You know, improving a team does not happen in a one night. No, it takes time to improve a team. Samuel Lucas has confirmed to us that Erik Ten Hag also wants 2 games arranged for the weekend before the start of the Premier League season. Dublin is identified as one of the locations for a pre-season friendly, and the Community Shield or another Old Trafford friendly will happen. That is it. So, that is Erik Ten Hag for you. He's a manager who has always called for his players to go on a 70-match run a season. And he wants them to play more and more games. From America, he wants them to play more games like he did when United was approaching its first game of the season against Brighton. You know the games we played? We played against Atletico Madrid away in Oslo, and then Roy Volcano happened to be played at Old Trafford with a different set of players altogether. So that's what we had for you here onto the United Matters channel. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have been exposed. Then Qataris have been given the mantle to really be the rightful owners of Manchester United by Petit, because he believes the Qataris have gone ahead to do a very good job at PSG than INEOS at Nice. Then what do you think about a midfielder to come in to compete with Eriksen and Ten Hag wanting in more games before we start our season? I sign out for now. See you later, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. I'm out.